hundreds of millions of dollars at just the right spot, 22,000 miles above the equator. The night of the launch, clients assemble at a safe distance where they can relax and enjoy the show.
Bienvenue à Kourou, en Guyane française. Le port...
Greetings, everybody, wherever you may be, and welcome to Kourou, the home of Ariane, for tonight's live broadcast of Ariane space flight number 126. Launching Galaxy 10R for PanAmSat this evening, first launch of the new year. The show's going to be a good one. We hope you'll stay with us.
The ground crew is under pressure to maintain its long string of successes.
And I have to say, it's a very, very exciting business when you have once a month this huge thing flying into space and all these people working on it.
Attention pour le décompte final. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop. Allumage. Décollage.
Another successful launch. And so the party begins in earnest.
Being on the equator for launching satellites is such a tremendous advantage that our competitors are desperately trying to find an equatorial site.
To compete with Arianespace, a secretive rival will journey to one of the most remote places on Earth. Using extraordinary gear that belongs in a James Bond movie, they will create their own equatorial launch site in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. In Long Beach, California, a company called Sealaunch has assembled a dream team of scientists and mariners. Their mission? To launch satellites from a platform at sea. Mission Director Steve Thielen marvels at the talent Sealaunch has assembled.
I mean, whoever thought I'd been out here launching Western-style spacecraft on a Russian rocket and a Norwegian platform out in the middle of the Pacific. I mean, this is really cool.
Sealaunch uses a rocket originally designed to fire nuclear warheads at the United States. Today, it carries a payload more in tune with the times, a telecommunications satellite. Sealaunch will journey across the Pacific Ocean to a spot on the equator, 1,400 miles south of Hawaii. Two vessels will make the expedition. One is an oil platform converted into a self-propelled launch pad. The other, a specially built command ship that will carry 200 Russian, Ukrainian, and American engineers and scientists on the 3-week trip. Relations are good on this international team.
The Russians are just such professionals. It's just an honor to be working with them. Some of the best rocket scientists in the world, basically. It's neat to see the past come forward to the future of space.
The state-of-the-art Mission Command Center is actually 2 control rooms in one. Russian-speaking specialists will work on one side, English-speaking Americans on the other. Coordination must be seamless for the launch to succeed. A similar collaboration was put to a sharper test on board Mir. With air pressure dropping because of a collision, the 2 Russians and 1 American have only minutes to close off a punctured module or abandoned ship. But cables block a hatchway that must be sealed.
These cables now that were being disconnected, there's about 18 of them, were like big snakes, and they just kind of got in the way. So actually would pass the cable to me, I'd tie it off.
With the passageway finally cleared, the 2 struggled to seal the hatch.
As soon as it went in place, without even doing any latches, it kind of went and sucked in. And at that point, I immediately felt the pressure stop falling.
They've closed off the leaking module, but Mir is now crippled as they approach the dark side of Earth.
Now, the station, which was tumbling, hadn't been able to orient its solar rays to the sun, and we had basically used up all of the battery power that was left. And so all the lights started to go off, the fans went off that moved the air around, and we lost communications with the ground.
Foale and his crewmates face a desperate situation. Without power, they have no heaters, no computers, no oxygen generators. For the first time, Mir becomes deathly quiet.
Really ironically, it was some of the most beautiful and memorable experience I ever had on the Mir, because we were passing over the southern tip of Tierra del Fuego towards Antarctica. And there were extraordinary curtains of green and red shimmering across the curve of the Earth. And we kind of would just float there in front of the window, mostly saying nothing.
Russians and Americans at Sealaunch are preoccupied with safety. Already fueled, the satellite payload is added to the rocket. Then the Sealaunch crew cautiously transfers the rocket to the launch platform. The Russians insisted on the twin-ship plan because of its extra margin of safety. All personnel will evacuate the launch platform for liftoff. The rocket is safely cradled in the launch platform hangar. Sealaunch is now ready for the 3,000-mile journey to the equator. In the age-old seafaring tradition, Sealaunch's voyage to the equator begins with a farewell party on the dock.
Future rocket sciences. Yeah.
Friends and loved ones come to see the Sealaunch crew off. Steve Thielen will be away from his family for almost a month. The two Sealaunch vessels set out for the equator. At sea, Russians, Norwegians, and Americans tend to live and play apart. The dining room offers a multi-ethnic cuisine, and each nationality gravitates to its own tables. The Norwegian captain, Tormod Hansen, was initially skeptical of this international undertaking.
When I first heard about it, I thought it was a joke. I didn't really believe it. Russian rockets being launched with American satellites, a combination of American and Russian scientists and Norwegian Marine. I thought it was a little bit unreal.
But after 10 days at sea, everything is going without a hitch. Sealaunch is nearing its destination. Everyone is of one mind. All are totally focused on blasting their rocket into orbit. The launch platform now sits exactly at the equator. There is no more efficient launch location for reaching equatorial orbit.
We have such accurate station-keeping ability. The platform is right on the equator, and you can literally come out here and straddle the equator, walk from one end of the ship to the other end of the ship, and cross the equator.
Huge pumps flood the platform's pontoons and pylons with 19,000 tons of seawater. It settles 70 feet into the sea, stabilized in the swell. The crew rolls the rocket out of its hangar onto the deck of the launch platform. They slowly erect the 200-foot rocket. A bridge connects the two ships. The crew from the launch platform can now evacuate in preparation for the nighttime blastoff. The command ship sails 3 miles away in case the rocket explodes on the pad. As liftoff time nears, a rare spectacle at sea unfolds. The captain of the launch platform leaves his ship. Steve Thielen and his international team check, then double-check every system.
conditions.
Sealaunch has a 1-second window for launch if they're to place the satellite in exactly the right orbit. Months of preparation and thousands of hours of work now come down to this. Can the team do everything perfectly without even a second of leeway?
It's a very high level of intensity. Basically, I'm focused on what's going on, what potential problems could come up, the concentration it takes, the butterflies you get in your stomach prior to launch.
10, 9, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All looks good at blastoff, but then something goes terribly wrong. 140 miles above Earth, the rocket shuts down prematurely. The satellite fails to reach orbit. A software glitch may have caused a single valve to stay open, dooming the mission. It's a costly setback. But Sealaunch is already planning its next launch.
A brutal murder. A cache of bones. Once proud ships laid out in underwater battle formations. The bottom of the ocean is no place for the faint-hearted. It's a graveyard of memories.